Gino.
Hey, danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player. Feeling like Pac. Represent. On my block. Try to knock me down, but I come up on top. Yeah, they wanna see me flop. Got a plot, want a lot. I won't stop on my pops. Got so many flows, it's insane. They don't really understand the game. Got a plan and it's plain, I ain't playing. I'm just trying to gain. I wanna get that big bag, need that big Rex. Blow up Tic Tac, where the blue cheese at. I don't give a fuck about your feedback. Eat that, get back, sit back, watch me spit that, kick back. Got so many flows, yeah, they think that I'm insane. Ghetto kids in a lot of pain, all about the bills, ain't shit changed. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game, I'm a player. If you a hater, I don't hate you. I'm just really happy that I ain't you. I just wanna thank you. You kept me motivated, so now I motivate you. There's a lot of cake, money on my mind like a banker. Coming through with them bangers, ain't no room for mistakes. Lot of stake, hustle till we get a lot of rooms, lot of stakes. Good kid, but I keep it gangsta shit. All gas, no brakes. Got cash for the case. More cash in the case. More cash in the safe. More cash on the way. Hustling all day. Ay. Danger, coming with them bangers. Tell me where my paper. Still on the same mission, trying to live major. Don't hate me, hate the game. I'm a player.
Danger, coming with them bangers. Where my fucking paper.
Said I'm taking big shots, just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. They been trying to get me cheap like a thrift shop, but I told them it's my time, check the wristwatch. They been talking way before they even doing something. Whoa. If they wanna play, let's get a tip off. Ain't no silver lining, dawg, this some rose gold. Getting new money, I'm a old soul. Yeah, I get it bouncing like a pogo. Whoa. And I'm too cold like Frozone. And my chick elastic, girl. Told them we ain't in the faking, this ain't plastic, girl. Bought a new whip and cash, now my taxi thorough. Way I'm shooting like step with my passes, bro. The way I'm playing the field, I'm in a league of my own. And now they all in they fields, I got them all on my phone. But dog, I'm hitting the climb, I got no time on the low. Way I'm shooting is messy, the way I'm hitting the goals. I'm taking big shots, just stop. Way I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. I just left, but you know I'm coming back though. Whoa. And you know I don't play by my rags though. Now go and turn it up to the max, whoa. Send a paper to me now like a fax, whoa. Yeah. Got 2 phones ringing off the hook now. When I'm in the city, I get looks now. I was going bad, but I'm good now. Said I had to go and put my foot down. Told them I'ma get it and go. Even in the summer, man, they knowing I'm cold. I got a couple checks coming that I made out the flows. Might get a couple more popping if I do it some more. I gotta do it for real. Said I'm back in my bag. All my digits are climbing just like they all on a dash. And they tell me slow down cause dog I'm moving too fast. Might go and caught me a Tesla cause dog I still got a gas. Said I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots. Just stop where I'm driven, no pit stops. This hot, I ain't playing like a 6 spot. Pissed off, thought I told him this a chip shot. I ain't missing cause you know I'm taking big shots.
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming on my landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the roll, here we go, yeah, at the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah, maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the roll, here we go, here we go. Here we go. On a roll, here we go, here we go.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Frankie Candles live stream and Bitcoin. Bing bonging around here, getting a little push to the upside, front running our Golden Pocket Daily MPOC. What is coming next here for the lower time frames? I'm going to go over that on today's live stream. We'll also cover very briefly the higher time frames. Are we going to come up and sweep that liquidity above $72,238, I think, is that level. We'll talk about that. We got a little bit of liquidity above us right now. I'm going to talk about the next moves. And overall, are we coming down to take the lows? I'm going to try to figure that out with you guys today on the live stream. So shout out to the Mafia. Welcome in, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. We got Neatone in the chat. What is going on? He says, bing bonging. Hey, let's go. Bitcoin just bing bonging right now. That's right. We got waffle cones in the chat, which are better than wafer cones, guys. Waffle cones are goated. We got Kodak in the chat. What is going on? We got New Earth Guardian. Space Shuttle Blue. What is going on? We got Panda the Prophet, Alexandra G. What is going on? We got Jesse and Darren in the chat. I think Tony D is lurking today. He's spending some time with his mom. And guys, we are on the cusp of Valentine's Day, and it is Friday the 13th. What is Bitcoin going to do here on Friday the 13th? I don't know, but hopefully we get like a Valentine's Day pump. I don't know. I'm getting some Wagyu with Mrs. Candles tomorrow. I'm super excited about that. Wagyu, like my newfound favorite thing on earth. Shout out to Indian Martini. Said send it to $5. Is it going to zero? What the heck is coming next here, guys? Oh, man. Obviously, kind of a boring week for Bitcoin as we got, obviously, the big drop down. Now we're kind of just wiggling around down here. But we front ran our key level, guys. Are we going to come back down and tap that? Well, hopefully we can try to figure that out with you guys today. We'll take a look at Market Cypher B, the liquidation heat maps, all the great, all the good stuff. Shout out to Panda the Prophet said BTC going to break some hearts. Oh, God, Bitcoin, the ultimate heartbreaker. Afternoon Candle family, shout out to Crypto for Gains. But, guys, we got a quick live stream here for you tonight on this beautiful Friday evening. And we will be doing the giveaways, guys. We're going to be changing the way that we do the giveaways. I think today's going to be the last day that we do the giveaways that we currently do, and then we're going to be changing it going forward. We're not going to get rid of them, of course, but we're just going to change the way we do them so they're a little bit easier. Wagyu steak, yeah, shout out to Jesse, or I don't know, from what I understand, or at least taste, it's mostly like 99% fat and grease and then like 1% meat, which is interesting, but it's super good. Super excited about that. But guys, without further ado, we got a lot to look at here on the charts. Shout out to Jake. Said your boy, Jake from Reddit, also related to Jake from State Farm, they're cousins. He said your boy is a super bear at the moment. Shout out to Jake from Reddit. Well, let's go ahead and take a look here. I am in a scalp short as well, which I'm not super confident in right at the moment. I'll show you guys exactly why. But let's go ahead and jump on into the charts. Here we go. Here we are on the charts, guys. Shout out to Something Fitness said BTC fly for all-time high. Right from here, all-time highs? Yikes. That would be kind of crazy, but that would be nice. I wouldn't be against that. But anyway, guys, here we are on the Bitcoin chart, and let's take a look here. Now, obviously, guys, I don't want to spend too much time on the higher time frames, obviously. I think everybody's aware of my stance here. And, obviously, losing 108K, super bearish. We got the big capitulation down, or the first big drop to the downside. We got that bearish consolidation. Of course, unfortunately, having to tell everybody what they did not want to see. Obviously, a bear flag forming here. Not that that was a big part of my analysis personally. But we have the weekly money flow coming out. Obviously, expecting lower highs and lower lows here. And I'm kind of happy that we finally got this big drop down, guys, because as I've said, I think a lot of the pain here is behind us. Not that I don't think that we can go lower, but obviously we've already gotten the two big drops to the downside, drop one, drop two, or even if you want to look at it as like drop one, drop two, kind of hard to say exactly where we would be inside of here. Not that it has to play out exactly how it has in the past, but I do think, obviously, when you're late to kind of understanding you're in a bear market, it could... I've been saying a lot recently, this is not really where you want to say, all right, fine, we're finally in a bear market. Obviously, when you're able to identify that up here at around $108,000, right, you kind of anticipate this, right? And pretty much, I would say we've been in a bear market for a little while. But now a lot of people are going to start, realizing that, and they're going to kind of think that all right, we're starting to get bearish, where kind of I am trying to flip my lens here to, of course, not saying that we can't continue down. But kind of understanding that, you don't want to be late to the bottoms, right? Even here, right? You get one more big drop down at the end of the day, essentially, the bottom's almost in, right? You kind of got to wiggle around. You get some accumulation, one last little freak out here. And then, kind of the simple way I could say this is you got to start to understand where you're starting to look for the bottoms rather than just being like, oh, my God, okay, finally we're bearish, right? Because then you're going to be looking for super lower targets. And, I've talked about the two major cases where, we are obviously have gotten a big drop down through this low volume gap that we had. Let me pull that up real quick. Obviously, oh my God, guys, we're going to deal with this the whole live stream. TradingView just keeps defaulting. Every time I draw a volume profile, it's going to change them to these weird colors. But I'm just going to leave this like this. Obviously, the volume still remains the same. But obviously, we had this low volume gap. We knew once we lost those lows, we'd be in a perfect environment to get not only a drop to the downside, but a very aggressive, fast drop through that low volume gap. Perfectly called here. And where does price wind up sticking to? Well, the next highest volume node. Price likes to stick to the high volume nodes, fly through the low volume nodes, stick to the high volume nodes. And it's pretty crazy. I was talking to the premium Discord earlier today. I love when people say charts don't matter. We'd be the luckiest people in the world being able to predict not only the moves, but the aggressive, fast drops down, right? And that was based off many other things as well. But we did come down into some major levels of confluence, right? This was we had no horizontal levels in here, meaning, obviously nothing holding us up. We had no volume, massive low volume gap, perfect environment to get a big capitulation to the downside. But we are starting to get kind of stuck here on this high volume node / horizontal confluent levels that we have come down and tapped. No major, massive bullish divergences or anything like that. No massive bottom signals just yet. But obviously, not impossible to get bounces from this level, right? We've come in, we're holding the support. And this is kind of why this is a little bit of a difficult situation because, I would love to come down and take this low. The difficulty here is, are we going to come up and squeeze out some of the shorts first, or are we going to come down and take out the low first? This is kind of the difficult situation. We, of course, have our key levels to the upside, which I'll go over with you guys today. We have the key major levels to the upside. We have the key major levels to the downside. These levels are all tapped, obviously. We've come down to tap every single one of these levels. We've come down to fill. Where's our current range, right? We got into the value area high. Whoops. Don't want to delete the POC. Into the value area high. We got the acceptance in. POC, value area low, bouncing from the value area low. This is still the major volume profile I am looking at. Value area high sitting at $70,274. POC sitting at 67.3. And then the value area low sitting down here at 59,805. So I'm not going to lie, guys. When I could come up here and say there's a confident move, I like to kind of explain that. I have many reasons why I can, show on the charts why I expect that. But I'm kind of sitting on my hands here, right? I did take a little bit of a scalp short here. We'll cover that in a second. I'm still holding a portion of my bigger shorts from higher. I have massive profits locked in on those. Made a ton of money on this drop to the downside. Kind of just waiting for Bitcoin to kind of settle here, right? And give us a clearer signal. No massive bullish divergences at the low. If we had like massive daily bull divs down here, I'd feel really, really, really good about a confident move to the upside. But we do have shorts. Very likely to be squeezed up here above 72,000. Let me get the exact level. 72,000. $237. I think if we're able to break above here, we might be able to see some of those shorts squeeze up. Now, again, we do have, if we pull back up that visible range volume profile, you have that massive gap above you as well. Pull up a higher time frame, right? So we always say this with the low volume gaps, fast move up could equal a fast move down. So if we are able to reclaim this level, we are also reclaiming this shelf of volume, breaking us back into that low volume gap, which could assist with those short squeezes up to about $76-ish thousand. If we could break above that, right, we could fly through the rest of the gap closer to like 80,500. We have the key low here at 80,500. If we're able to flip that, we could be looking up towards $86,000, right? And I'll take a look at Market Cypher B with you and try to talk about the probabilities of that being the case from here. But you know, for me personally, I have the trap set in the market. When we, let me take off this range real quick, right? When we pull up those higher time frame levels that we've taken a look at, I didn't go live yesterday. There really wasn't much of an update. I dropped the quick market update for you guys. But of course, right, when we look at this from a horizontal perspective, it's very simple, right? Like if we're able to reclaim this value area, not value area, this shelf of volume, right? Like not much above us could get squeezy to the upside through the theory of a short squeeze and just the theory of like you don't have a lot holding you down based off the volume. And then if we are able to come back down here and sweep out these lows, our next horizontal levels, right, when we just look at it from a key level perspective, right, like obviously that next major zone of support, very, very important, sitting down here between about $58,000 and $55,000. Next major level of support, right? So like you might say like, well, if we're kind of just bing-bonging around here, we could go up or we could go down. Like how do you handle that, right? Well, it doesn't mean we can't take the shorter term trades. Like I said, I am in a little bit of a scalp short here. Again, we'll get to that in a second. But you know, very simply, if we come to the downside and we push into these key levels, we talked about the daily bullish divergence that may be able to print down there, and then we would actually have some kind of like significant bottom signal to indicate a bigger move to the upside, right? So I prefer this. I'm not saying from a probability perspective that's higher probability, but I would prefer to just come down, take out the low. We'd have a significant bottom signal here with a potential daily bullish divergence, right? Maybe that wave comes up a little bit, gives you a higher low, price kind of wiggles around, gives you the lower low, then you'll have a nice bullish divergence. We do have interest in long setups down here in the premium Discord, so we will be paying attention and just, you know, have these levels marked out on your chart, because if we get some other big drop to the downside, like this is really the last level, guys, before we really have to start looking down towards $47,000, and at that point, things do start to get a little bit shady. But I do think, you know, we are already tapped into major support. Again, we lose it. We still have backup support here. So, you know, I would hope we can get some kind of bigger retracement either from here or at least from this zone ending at about $55,000. $55,000 is also confluent with our 2021 value area high, right? So maybe come back down, retest that value area high. This would be an extremely, not only because of the confluence, but also because of this value area high, very important level to hold above. If we end up getting accepted back into this range, right, lose the value area high, the next likely place for price to go is probably going to be down towards about $47,000. And then, of course, if we lose that $47,000 level, guys, things start to look much more bearish. But again, we'll cross that bridge if we get there. But for now, like all eyes on this to the downside, at least between about, you know, $58,000 to $55,000. Not only horizontal, but also from the previous volume profile. Very, very important level, because that context gives us the idea of like, hey, if you can't hold this, yikes, you're going to get sucked down towards that POC. And then this is very, very, very key. Once we lose that, right, very likely you could start that journey down towards the value area low. Not my base case as of right now. Massive support. But again, you got to be prepared, right? If we just nuke down there, right, like this is huge. $47,449 is like, in my opinion, like the biggest level to watch if we get those bigger drops to the downside and can't hold this value area high. So With that being said, those are the moves to the downside, right? Or key levels to the downside I will be watching. Other than that, right, like on these big drops down, we get the nice consolidation. We're able to predict or understand that the higher probability is to get that big drop down. We made a lot of money on that short. And right now with these big drops down, like I just really want to see more structure settle in here. Maybe we get the short squeeze, obviously. But I would just, we don't really have a lot to look at down here, right? We don't have much price action down here. We don't have much structure. So kind of just sitting on my hands and waiting. Now, if we see the short squeeze, that's the moves to the downside, key levels to the downside. For the move up, right? If we do wind up coming up here, key level to watch, 72,300 and, what is it, 48? 37, 72,237. I think if we're able to break above this level, we could start to see a lot of the late shorts start to squeeze out. Of course, you have the big volume gap underneath you, above you. And then, from a high time frame perspective, right? If that short squeeze winds up getting like really, really crazy, remember, super big low volume gap. I'm going to cover the local levels of resistance as well. But like at the end of the day, right? Like the next big high time frame horizontal levels come in at around like $87,000. And when we look at this from a volume profile perspective, right? We'll pull this larger range that we've been looking at. Oh my God, we're going to have to deal with this the whole live stream, guys. TradingView just dropping the ball here. But yeah, value area low here starting at about 86.6. You have all this confluence. You have a weekly MPOC, monthly MPOC. When we pull our full Fibonacci retracement from the swing high to the swing low, you have your golden pocket 786. From a high time frame perspective, just like that $58,000 to $55,000 level is your biggest level of support. Your biggest level to the upside, if we see some kind of a crazy squeeze up, is going to be about, I'm going to call it about 82 to about $90,000. And this is high time frame. I know, like, obviously this isn't where I would look to like catch scalps, at least like within this big zone. I would separate these levels. But big resistance, right? This could just be a range retest for a lower high and a lower low. Of course, that golden pocket 786 could be an area to look for the lower high and the lower low. There's no guarantee we get all the way up there, but again, these are high time frame levels. This sits between about, just get this accurate here. Yeah, call it about like 83.5 all the way up to about 89,000, almost 90K, right? So biggest level to the upside, biggest level to the downside. If we come up here, I am interested in potential bigger bounces to the upside. If we come up here, I may be interested in some more shorts. And then, typically when we look at these volume profiles, right, if you flip above the value area low, it does open the door to the POC, which is also confluent with a weekly MPOC. Of course, this is super far away, so I don't want to go in super detail here. I just want you guys to have these on your chart, right? In case we see some, because if we see the short squeeze, things could get moving very quickly, right? So those are high time frame levels. Might not have to deal with them for a while, but in the case of a massive drop or a massive short squeeze, these are the biggest levels to watch. So I wanted to cover that first, higher time frame stuff, and now let's break into this lower time frame and see if we can figure out, right, like if we're very likely to get the move down first or the move up first, which becomes a little bit more confusing and a little bit more difficult to predict. But there you go. Mark those levels off on your chart. Let me come into the chat here real quick. Shout out to Coinspirator. Thank you for the super chat, brother. He says, regarding today's premium stream, are there any times when you move your stop loss into profit or break even without setting a take profit? Shout out to Coinspirator. I mean, I've done it. There are times where I will do that, but I would say like generally when I move my stop loss to break even, I would say like more often than like 90% of the time, I am taking my TP1 and then moving my stop loss to break even to put me in a situation where it's a guaranteed winning trade. There's nothing wrong with setting your stop loss to break even before taking profit. No, nothing wrong with moving your stop loss into profit before taking profit either, if you just want to kind of trail your stop down. Nothing wrong with that. I wouldn't say it's like a bad thing or anything, but for me personally, I usually, it's like, typically it goes TP1, stop loss to break even. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Shout out to Brandon said, imagine not buying when we get at when we're at 5. Is that you talking about the maybe the fear and greed index? Yeah, and I've talked about this a lot, right? The higher time frame perspective here, right? Again, I wouldn't say there's enough like massive confirmation. Like, obviously if we had that daily bullish divergence down here, that would give me like a much better clear signal on the chart that we would like very similar to back here, right? You get the lower lows, you get the higher lows, you get money flow coming back up. Very clear that you could continue that overall trend to the upside, giving you a new all-time high, which was, of course, what we were looking for here. We got it. But that was very easy to, not easy, but like, a little easier to call because of the actual confirmation. Here, we're more in a situation like this, right? Where like you get the first big drop down. Yes, you can get those big short squeezes to the upside, but there's no like real gigantic high time frame confirmation here that you're going to get a big continuation down. You still have your daily money flow coming into the red, indicating the trend will overall continue down. Kind of similar to what we're seeing here. Money flow is still in the red. You could see those short squeezes, but once you get down here with the actual lower lows, the actual higher lows, money flow coming into the green, right? That's more clear that you could get accepted back into the profile. Money flow always indicates the overall trend, right? Which once you see that crossover, you're expecting pullbacks to be higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs for the continuation of that overall trend. So again, it's not impossible to just shoot up, massively from here. But I would expect it, right? Like, and even down here, it's like people always want like, give me the bottom signal, right? Well, it's not really there yet, right? And is it possible that we could have just launched up here? Maybe. But of course, the higher probability there with money flow coming out, no real bullish signal, is the continuation down. And even on this bullish divergence, right, like money flow is still trending out. Our bias here was still lower lows, lower highs and lower lows. And then eventually you get that broader bullish divergence. Once you break into this profile, money flow crosses into the green. You have the laws of the volume profile on your side. Well, hey, we're above the low. Next likely place for price to go is the POC. And then the money flow also indicating the continuation of that uptrend, making it likely not only to get to the POC, but also eventually that value area high. So it's just a little harder, right? There's like no massive bullish divergences down here. It's kind of similar, right? You just get like this big drop down. Sometimes you have to let price kind of settle down. And that's kind of where I come from when I talk about this stuff, right? If the sign was there, or if the sign is here, I would look for it. But kind of just stuck in no man's land here, right? Just chopping around, just waiting for the next big move. And that's why we give you those massive macro levels down here and up here, right? And pull off the volume profiles. It's like, it's really all we can look at, right? High time frame here, high time frame here. Other than that, it's just kind of local stuff, which I'm going to go into right now. I'm here for a short-term pump and then a drop down. Shout out to Eric. We'll see if we can get it. Bottom signal is fear and greed at 0. Yeah, I mean, I don't trade based off the fear and greed index. From a high time frame like spot bag perspective, we've talked about this obviously. Like this is kind of like dollar cost average zone number 1, because the high. I guess I'll go over this real quick, right? The two kind of perspectives that we have been looking at, ever since we were up here, is like how can we potentially see this bear market play out? Well, number 1, right? We know that we've retested that all-time high previously. Pull up the Bitstamp chart so I can get a little more history here, right? Back in 2021, you come back down, you retest the previous all-time high. Very nice. Right now, we have come back down to we're currently like retesting that all-time high. And then obviously you have all the confluent high time frame levels here. So this is kind of like bullish case, right? Like the more bullish case would be you come on into this volume profile, right? Massive support, right? Retest of the all-time high. At this point, like typically people come in here and they're like, I just bought Bitcoin. It's at the top, and I always have to be like, I don't know, man. That's kind of brutal. But down here, right, I would never say that. This is obviously like the beginning of a dollar cost average zone. Of course, I don't personally just dump my whole bag in. I'm slowly DCA. I use like a weighted dollar cost average method where it's like a light portion of your bag. You get another drop down. You can put a higher percentage of your bag averaging on the way down. But this is kind of that first level, right? Obviously, fear and greed is super low. I don't trade based off the fear and greed index, obviously. I need to see some kind of like technical confirmations. But just because we don't see those bottom confirmations, right? Like even here, we get the big drop down. Money flows in the red. You get the first big capitulation. Same thing here. It's like this could be the beginning of your dollar cost average zone. buy a little bit, drop down, buy a little bit, 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 right? Then you get that average entry cost somewhere in there to enjoy that next bull market, right? So I would never say that's a bad idea. Not financial advice, of course. I'm not telling you to buy Bitcoin right now, but that's just kind of how I look at things, right? And you look at the retest of the all-time high. I would say the more bullish case is that maybe the bottom comes in a little bit earlier this cycle. You have like logarithmic regression giving you a little bit of a slightly muted bear market from the previous, right? You have like what is this, 88, 86, I think it was like an 86% dump. Here, we got more of like a 77% dump. Maybe we get a little bit of a muted bear market here, and like the top bottom could form a little earlier than people expect, right? Everyone's looking for 30K. It would give you that traditional 75-ish% correction to the downside, but then they're a little bit late, right? That'd be the more bullish case. I would be really, really confident in being like, hey, this looks like the bottom is forming if I have those beautiful bullish confirmations on the chart like we did down here, right? Like I was buying Bitcoin down here, right? All in here. But that was even before we actually got the bullish confirmation, right? So just because we don't have that bullish confirmation doesn't mean it's a bad place to DCA. So I would agree with you, right? But that's kind of bullish case, right? Now, of course, we cannot rule out the fact that if we lose that 47K level bear market 4-year cycle aside, we lose that $47,000 POC. I am just from a technical perspective looking at the statistical higher probability being a rotation down towards, good Lord, this absolutely brutal. The closer move down to about $30,000, right? And that POC is obviously a little different on the Bitstamp chart. Let me see if I can get it. Have been able to get it up there a little bit. There we go, right? Like the Bitstamp chart has the POC here closer to 47K. Once you lose that level, very likely you got to move down to the value area low. So kind of like the big zone number 2 is going to be between about 55 and that POC at 47K. Once you lose that, though, right, like can't rule this out. Lose that POC, right? With hopefully we get some kind of massive bottom confirmation there if we have to go that low. Once you lose that POC, right, just from a TA perspective, right, very likely drop down towards the value area low. Not my base case as of right now, right? This is definitely not, in my opinion, a bad place to dollar cost average in. Not financial advice. You should not just listen to some random dude on YouTube screaming into a microphone, but of course, based off of everything I just talked about, this is not, again, kind of the whole, lens change I'm trying to push here is this is not where we just look for like, oh my God, like this is the beginning, everything is going to collapse, right? Not that we can't go lower, but this is more often or more likely a case where it's like, even if we do have to go down a little bit more, it's like you're better off just kind of looking for a bottom to form. The bearishness all started up here, screaming from the rooftops up here at the loss at 108K. All right, but everybody just has super hope, and then they just get disappointed. But this was very, the most clear move I think that we've ever seen on the chart, right? We pulled the fractal from 2021 like a million times, right? And it did just, not that I ever anticipate like these fractals just to play out exactly the same, but like this just was the exact same thing. History oftentimes rhymes, it doesn't always repeat. In this case, it just repeated. So I would be open to something like this, and then it wouldn't be until we lose 47K where I'd be like, oh God, now might have to start looking at those lower prices. So like more bullish case, right? Maybe the bottom's already in, who knows? But more bullish case, and then the more bearish case wouldn't be until we wind up coming down here and losing 47K. And then that would be just, 4-year cycle just repeating again. But of course, I'm not a 4-year cycle maxi. If I see the signs on the chart, the bottom looks like it's going to come in right here, I'll be able to call for it. But I need something to point to. Right now, I can't point towards the bull divs or anything like that. All right, let's see. Shout out to Lawn Dart. Says, premium is great. Hey, shout out to Lawn Dart. Appreciate that, bro. I figured with maturity, Bitcoin's corrections will become less and less probably the same for the pumps unless they rotate liquidity from gold into and silver into it. Yeah, shout out to Matterflomf. 100%, right? Like as the asset matures, the pumps and the dumps get less and less extreme, right? And this has been, shown throughout the cycles, right? First bear market, 87%, right? I'm kind of eyeballing this. This was 84%. Right, then we got like the 77%. All right, so it would make a little bit of sense for this not to go down exactly the same as the previous cycle, right? And to get a little bit of a less pullback. It would make sense through the maturing of the asset, 100%. Frankie Candles is such a good indicator. Shout out to Simano. I don't know if you're talking about the Frankie Candles indicator or you're talking about me in general. Again, never signals on this channel, guys. I know sometimes it's like every time I say that, people are like, yeah, but it plays out. But I'm like, still, you don't want to just look at things as, he said it, the top looks like it's in, right? Of course, anything can happen here. This is never financial advice. But of course, I just show the higher probability scenarios. It's really not that crazy, just because it's like not crazy that we got this big capitulation down. It was the higher probability scenario, right? And that's just always what I go with. That's why these things play out more often in our favor than they don't, right? They don't always play out in our favor, but it's just because, we just know how to read the charts. Let's see. Yeah. Shout out to Rick says DCA is perfect now. There's more upside than downside. Yeah, I mean, I do think we've had a lot of the pain has kind of played out, right? It's like I'm not willing to miss the massive upside for, like, I don't know, let's say we go down from this low, right? We've already come down to like 60K, 59K. And it's like, oh my God, we're going to go down to 47K. It's like, I'm not worried about that last like 21%. Just like back here, right? It's the same thing. I didn't have bottom signals to point to here. But that did not mean that I wasn't buying Bitcoin, right? And then finally the bottom signal comes in, right? But I had been DCAing in all throughout this, right? And then it's like, oh, bottom signal, guys. Maybe those lower targets at 12 to 14K might not get hit. Bottom might be in. Bada boom, flip the value area low from up here. Hey, bull market, all right? And the average entry point is somewhere in the middle here. Mine was about like $21,000 for the previous cycle, so previous bear market. So there you go. Let's jump on down to some lower time frames now and take a look at what we got going on here. So again, guys, like I'm not super tripping about the lower time frames right now. What is this? That was previous all-time high. That would be another thing that would be a little bit alarming about going down to 30K, guys. It's like somebody brought up recently, like we have to go to the base at 15K. That always happens. I don't know if I misunderstood the chat. But this literally never happened, right? Like we've never gone back down to a bear market low after making new all-time highs, right? It doesn't mean it's impossible, but if you mark out like all these bear market lows, right? Like, oh, back down, never got anywhere close to it, right? Bear market low, never got anywhere close to it. So like, I don't know. Anticipating like 15K would just be like, that's literally never happened after a bull market has played out, right? Like here you had the black swan of 2020. Got you close to the lows, but again, that's a totally different scenario, right? That's kind of where, that wasn't a bull run, right? This was still technically the consolidation at the bottom. I guess you can consider it. I don't know what this would have looked like if the black swan didn't happen, but just totally, I would not be expecting $15,000. And then like even $30,000 would get you, like from the previous all-time high, that would get you 57% below the all-time high, below the previous all-time high. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like we obviously went below the all-time high from 2017, but it was not 57%, right? It was like a quick little 20%. So I don't know. I don't know if 30K again, not my base case just yet. I wouldn't start worrying about that until we start losing 47K. Because if we never get down there, there's no reason to really cover that in detail. Important to note, though, because it is a gigantic key level. But anyway, let's jump down here to the lower time frames now. So obviously, like main profile that I'm looking at here is, of course, where's it at? We're still within this volume profile. Value area high, 70,209 POC. 67,303, value area low, 59,805. Technically, with the shorts up there, I don't know. But statistically speaking, right, not 100% of the time, but, anytime you're still within this volume profile, as long as you remain below the value area high, technically the higher probability is to come down here. Now, I'm not personally, the reason I prefer a drop down here is not because I think it's the higher probability. I'm kind of indifferent here. But it is what it is, right? Like statistically, value area low could be very likely to get hit. Daily, I think if we are going to get the drop down to the lows, I think that daily red dot is the thing to watch. Once we print that daily red dot, I think if you're going to see those lows, that's the thing to look for, right? So just, medium time frame levels, I would look at this volume profile. As long as you're within this profile, we could trade it as a volume profile. If we get the drop down to the low, right, deviate below the low, right? Of course, we have those key levels of support down here. We can look for a deviation, potential long positions, and then, of course, if that does happen, we might be in a situation where you can wind up getting that daily bull div, right? Obviously not perfectly drawn here, right? And then that daily bull div can be like a better, higher time frame bottom signal, right? Not necessarily the bottom of the bear market, but like a bottom signal for a bigger continuation up. Again, if we had that here, I'd be really confident about a continuation up. If we had a massive daily bull div down here with money flow coming up, I'd say, hey, trend is likely to continue to the upside. You got the nice bottom signal of the daily bullish divergence. We just don't have that right now, so it's a little bit hard to put confidence on that. I would say if we get the move up, it's going to be like very likely fueled by the short squeeze, which is why I say it could get very aggressive here. If we start stopping out the shorts, they could just start getting cooked. This could get very exciting, quote unquote, very fast if those shorts start popping to the upside. So there you go. That's kind of the higher time frame or medium time frame zone, right? Low time frame, I mean, take off this. We'll look at our local range that we looked at yesterday. Where's it at? Where's it at? Where's it at? Bada boom, right? So we have this upper volume profile. This is what I would likely watch over the weekend. I don't typically trade over the weekend. I'll be spending some quality time with Mrs. Candles. But this will be the profile I'll be looking at. Value area low sitting at 67,970. POC sitting at 69,488. And then the value area high is sitting up here at about 71K. When we pull our fib from the high to the low, obviously we do have a little bit of confluence here on the POC golden pocket. And then the 786 value area high is also confluent up there. So locally, this is what I'd be looking at. If we're able to get back above this golden pocket, flip the POC golden pocket to support, volume profile would be calling for the value area high. Break above the golden pocket, next likely place for price to go is the 786. Break above the POC, next likely place for price to go is the value area high. Once we start breaking out and holding here, flip above that 786 would invalidate the idea of a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low, and that is where we could start looking for that liquidity above 72 to get taken out, right? Which again, you know, we have resistance up there. Let me pull that up real quick. Where's it at? Where's it at? Right. We have the next daily naked point of control starting at about $73,431, confluent with a golden pocket up here leading up to like almost $76,000. So if we pop out here and we start squeezing those shorts, this is the next zone that I will be looking at. Depending on if we come up there over the weekend, I probably won't be trading over the weekend, but if we get up there, this is definitely an area I'd be interested in a rejection from, potential short positions. But we have to be careful, guys, because in a situation like this where you get a massive drop to the downside, people are super bearish, and there were a lot of shorts coming in here at the bottom. When we have the liquidity above, it does give opportunities to look for potential liquidity sweeps for corrections back down. But in this case, we have a lot of liquidity. This could be the trigger of the short squeeze, right? So I would really need some strong confirmation there. We have some things that we're looking at in the premium Discord. But if I don't see those confirmations, I'll probably just let that thing go because we'll very likely squeeze out those shorts. But hyper locally, this volume profile gave you the levels on the POC value area high, value area low. If we snap above these highs, turn off the range, I'll be looking at these two levels next. And these are the same levels we've been covering, which is probably why this will be a little bit of a quicker live stream, just because we've kind of covered this. I don't want to be super repetitive. This low at 74,000, I could call it 74,500, is confluent with the golden pocket, adding to the structural resistance, right? But once we flip that, next level to come up to, obviously, flip the golden pocket. Next place for price to likely go is going to be that 786. We have another key support resistance flip here at 80,500. Obviously going to be key resistance. Once we flip above that, guys, next level I'm looking at is about $86,000. That's where we have the bigger range value area low for a potential bigger range. Oh, my God. Trading view, man. Come on. You got the larger value area low there at about 86,500. You have all this confluence on your higher time frame levels. And, of course, your bigger high, that's where you get more into like the high time frame levels, right? 786 golden pockets up in there as well. Again, we'll cross that bridge if and when we get there. I already gave those levels in case we just snap through that low volume gap again. But these are local levels, right? So medium time frame, golden pocket 786, confluent with the daily MPOCs, golden pocket, confluent with the daily MPOC, and both confluent with key support resistance flips. So we'll just do SR flip, key, SR flip key. And then I won't talk too much about getting up in here because you got a lot of resistance. But, of course, we could potentially – and I don't think that's going to happen in, like, just a straight line. But if we just get through all this stuff, right, we could start talking about maybe flipping this value area low and, you know, what that means for the future. But, again, this is, like, so far away I don't even want to cover that, at least just yet. Let's see. Value area low also confluent with 82K if you pull it from the impulse. Yeah, probably coming in right here. Short stream. Shout out to Brian. I don't think we've ever done a short stream here. 45K BTC load up and see you in 2030. Shout out to Mike E or Mike 20. Shout out to you, brother. If we did come down there, I will say this, right? Obviously, the POC sits at $47,000. And, you know, I know all of these, like, local levels, right? This is a trading channel. All these local levels can get, like, overwhelming for people who are just, like, looking for the high time frame stuff. That's why I try to cover both of them. You know, but when we look at the 2021 value area, right? Like, major support. If we have to deal with this 47K POC, like, let's say we bottom out at, like, 45K, say, like Mike Eve was saying, you know, it would be okay, in my opinion, to, like, wick below this. Really what I would not want to see is, like, on the higher time frames, like the daily and above, that we get stuck under that and start rejecting. And, again, we will have the money flow to kind of look at here as far as, you know, if money flow is coming out aggressively here, you know, that would look one way. If we were putting in massive bull divs with money flow starting to trend up, that would look totally different, right? So I would be okay with, like, a little wick above or a wick below, right? And then we kind of get back up in here. Maybe we get the bull divs. Money flow starts coming back up. That would look a lot better for, like, a bottom. But what I don't want to see there specifically is that we break down. Maybe we get, like, weekly candle closures. Daily can't get back above that point of control. And, you know, at that point, right, it would be very clear that we're probably going to lose that POC. But, again, if that winds up happening, you know, until then, this is massive support. If we get another big drop down, guys, like, this is the zone to be looking at. And at that point, right, I'm already looking at this as, like, a lot of the pain is probably already over. Not a bottom signal, but I would say, like, a majority of the pain is over. Even if we got that next big drop to the downside, it's like, yeah, I huge support, right? And you even have the horizontal levels above there as well. So I just keep that nice and simple. If you're here for just the high time frame levels, right, if we get the big drop down, big levels to look at down here. Bada boom, bada bing, right? Weekly, monthly MPOC. Huge zone, right? So if the bottom doesn't come in here, right, and again, that could take some time. Maybe get a little bit of accumulation, right? Bada boom, get another drop down. I don't know what it's going to look like, obviously. All these bottoms can look very different. If it looks just like 2021, which obviously nobody knows if that's going to be the case, but resize this a little bit. Squish her down. Right, come in and play with this stuff. Like, that could be situation number one, right? Situation number two, it's like lose that POC. But again, not worried about that until we get down there. We'll have a better read on money flow. I just don't know what money flow, like, I don't know what it's going to look like down there, right? Let's see. It's Rob's birthday. Shout out to Rob the Crypto Snob. Happy birthday. I don't think Rob is in here right now. But shout out to Rob. You guys know he has 365 birthdays a year. Shout out to Rob. I like rounded. I will say, I talk about the, shout out to Darren Dusting says I like rounded bottoms and uneven butt cheeks, or he's referring, shout out to Jason Casper, referring to the bullish divergences. But yeah, like there is something about, you know, rounded, you know, again, many ways that these bottoms can form. Like there's your bullish divergence. And then sometimes you can get more of like a rounded bottom formation. If we go back to like 2017, again, like this is so speculative. I don't want to try to guess exactly how this is going to play out. Nobody knows. But like in 2022, right, it was so clean, guys. Like we were literally looking for the weekly bull divs. We got them perfectly, right? We made videos anticipating them, drawing them on the chart, and then they literally set up almost exactly where we wanted them. So like super, super clean bottom signal. Coming over to 2017, right, it's a little bit more difficult. Not more difficult, but like you wind up getting the big capitulation, right? You get a little bottom, and then you come and take the low one more time, and then you just kind of wiggle sideways. There was no real like massive clear low, lower low with a low and a higher low on your momentum waves. This was kind of more of like a little bit of a rounded bottom. So many different ways that this stuff can play out. One thing I will say, one thing that we've really never seen, right? And then you look back here at, different Bitcoin was a different animal back here, but like 2015, right? Like no real bullish divergence, massive capitulation, just sideways price action. A little bit more difficult there as well. Like 2021 was just so clean. The top and the bottom were super clean. 2025, right? The top was super clean. I don't know if the bottom's going to be super clean. But it's like kind of a sit on your hands and wait, right? Like I think everybody, like one thing we've never seen is this. That is not what I would expect, right? I mean, hopefully that would be very nice, but fear is so low. Yes, 100%. Shout out to Panda the Prophet, said those likes are in the bear market. Tell them some good news. We need likes. Guys, bottom's in. Going to, I would say, about $700 to $800,000 in the next 5 minutes. Smash that like button, baby. Come on. You might just have to lie so we could break 200 likes. Guys, the bottom's in. Someone's going to just tune in and hear that. They'll be like, oh my God, the bottom's in. So yeah, looking down at the lower time frames once again here, guys. So I am in a little bit of a scalp short here. Yeah, let's see that 15-minute real quick. Man, just bing-bonging around here now. Taking a look at the 4-hour here. We got a pretty overextended 4-hour VWAP. Simply, guys, I reserve my right to just kind of chill here. Like, I don't, like, if I see massive bottom signals, key levels, right, other than the value area low, we looked at this yesterday. You have a golden pocket daily naked point of control that we did front run yesterday. Let me pull this up on the Bitstamp chart. Bada boom. Hide this, right? So, like, locally, you have the golden pocket, same level we've been looking at, right? From the low to the high. Daily MPLC golden pocket. This is the level I covered yesterday on the market update, right? Front ran it, got the push up. If we do continue down, this golden pocket is still here. It's still in the same place. It's still confluent with the daily naked point of control. So, like, locally, maybe some scalps off of this level. It's just, I wouldn't say, this is, if we don't get the full rotation to break the lows, this is kind of the last zone to look at, right? If you're just going to be looking for a low, a high, a higher low, and a higher high, and we come back down here and retest this, like, that's the place to look, in my opinion. I don't really love this. It's only confluent with the daily naked point of control. There's not a lot of other confluence there. But from, like, a structural Fibonacci perspective, somewhat of an interest for support, right? And just because it's a golden pocket 786, again, what you really need to see here is money flow coming up, which we do not have on the daily. We do have it on the 3-hour money flow trying to cross into the green. It's just not really perfectly set up. You have a lot of mixed signals down here, which, again, I like to let the dust settle so I can get a clear view on things. But just be aware of that. Sitting, the real confluence sits on the golden pocket between about 64,843 and 64,128. 786 is, of course, part of that Fibonacci zone, but and you do have the daily confluence there as well. So really the larger zone sits between 64,843 and 62,409. Once we lose the 786 at whatever, 62,409, essentially. I'm not going to get like every exact penny here. Once we lose that, right, you're already expecting to take out this low. And I'm just happy kind of sitting through this and letting the price action develop, especially after cashing in so much on the big drop to the downside. Like I compared it to back here. It's like, could you get the short squeeze? Yeah. But, from a high probability perspective for the high probability setups, I would personally say, I guess you can consider this somewhat high probability. I'm not as interested in this as I'm interested in the value area low. I can't guarantee that you're going to get there. But for me, like swing trades, I'd be looking down to take out that low. I'd be interested if I were to take a trade here at the golden pocket 786. I would just view it more as because at that point, right, you're inside your volume profile, you're back below the POC, right? I just don't love taking big long positions here. If the point of control was confluent down here, I'd be much more interested in a bigger bounce. But at that point, right, it's like I would have to view that as a scalp, right? Let's just say we bounce off the golden pocket, or let's just say we hit, let's say we hit the 786, right? I would have to view that at first as a scalp because I understand through these volume profiles, if you can't get back above that POC, chances are you're probably going to rotate back down to the low. If we had massive money flow coming up and if we had a beautiful setup there, I'd be super interested in this. But within the volume profile, it's like, sure, you can make some money on that scalp. I mean, it would be a nice 7% move, plenty of room to make some money. But I would just be very cautious with that because you're fighting above the POC. Probabilities are higher. You come to the value area low. And then once you get above the POC, you're still underneath the high. So you just got a lot of work to do there to get up to put in a new high at that point. So that's why I just have a little bit more interest, obviously an area of interest here, but bigger interest for swing positions down here on the tap of the value area low and deviations below that. So there you go. Kind of a lot to look at here as we just kind of chop around. But again, I don't really have a super big preference here, whether we come up or down. If we come up first, I'll look for new shorts. If we come down, we'll look for the longs. And my short position here, I did take a little bit of a short based off the SFP of these relative equal highs. Where's it at? Kind of just hanging out around break even. The reason I was kind of iffy about this position, right? We got the SFP. We also had some low time frame bearish divergences, right? Actually, a few things here. You get the SFP. You get the low time frame bear divs. We also had the 5-minute money flow attempting to trend out at the time. Now it's crossed over into the red. But this was also confluent with an 80-minute red dot incoming, right? Which is a potential market cipher B bearish setup. Very small scalp, kind of a low probability scalp. And the thing here is, I don't know, this 30-minute, man. The 15-minute looked like this as well. But this 30-minute, to me, just looks like if we print that green dot on the 30-minute, this does look like it could form a bearish divergence, which does, in my opinion, call for a break of the highs. I do have some room here on my stop loss above the wick, but I probably got if we get that green dot on the 30-minute, we do end up getting that bear div, very likely I'll probably get stopped out of that position. But it is what it is. It was a small position here. I'm kind of just happy with the profits I've made on the short so far, or at least locked in here. So I'm not really crazy for just chasing smaller trades here. But I did take one. So we'll see what happens there. Shout out to Aziz. Said, Frankie, I missed the long on the front run of the golden pocket. What's your suggestion of this bad feeling of missing a trade? How to avoid this? Shout out to Aziz. My advice there is you're not going to be able to avoid that feeling. I think you just got to kind of I think through exposure, that kind of stops bothering you. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I cover it all the time. I don't want to say jaded, right? But I said this in the premium Discord earlier today. I've never looked back on the chart, right? Like, you're going to miss trades, right? And in my experience, right, I have gone through waiting for key levels to get hit. They don't get hit. I chase the trade only for the price to come down and hit that key level and give me the actual move I was looking for anyway. Time and time and time again, right? Now, sometimes you can front run the level and get the big move, right? But I would say statistically, right, it is higher probability for those levels to get hit. But I've never looked back on the chart, right? Like, I don't know exactly where the last place, like, I missed a trade was. But there's many reasons that doesn't trip me out, right? It's like, I made tons of money on this short position. Whether I missed this trade, right, like, I still made money here. There is always another opportunity on the chart. And the more you try to chase trades, by the time you miss a move, like, I've been in so many scenarios here, and again, I can't promise you that we're going to come down and tap that golden pocket. I can't promise you we're going to come down and tap that value area low. I'm just indifferent on it, right? If we wind up coming up first, right, I will come back onto the charts on Monday with a fresh view, right? Maybe we come up here, we start squeezing out the shorts, we get a little correction, money flow is coming up, I'm looking for a higher low and a higher high, and I catch a little retracement, right? If I miss the move here, I can catch it on a retracement. What I don't want to do is chase the long and have price come out and stop me out, right? And oftentimes what will happen is you miss a move, you FOMO in, right? And then price comes down to hit your key level, and you're now underwater on the short. Hopefully you get stopped out for a small loss or maybe a break even or something like that. But, you know, at that point, it's like, oh my God, I FOMO'd in. I knew I shouldn't have FOMO'd in. Now I'm in drawdown. Now I'm already at the key level. At this point, you might feel super bearish, and you don't take that trade anyway. Then it plays out. I just like to stick to the plan, right? And I've never in my life ever looked back at a trade, right? Like, just for example, I don't remember the last time I missed a significant move, but like that does happen, right? Actually, I do remember. It was right down here. And I know exactly why I missed the move, right? Because at the end of the day, I wanted an SFP of this wick. Look what happened. We didn't get the SFP, right? If only we had SFP'd here, I would have had a beautiful entry at the low. But what happens, right? I don't care. Why? Because there's always another opportunity to either catch a short, catch a long on a retracement. I don't remember the exact situation here. I think it was this low. We get the move up. Am I chasing the green candle? Absolutely not, right? I am not chasing the trade. At this point up here, I've missed that entry. And it's not for a bad reason, right? I just like to see those SFPs, right? At the end of the day, more often than not, if I chase this every single, like the next trade I take, right, I'm not going to front run, or you shouldn't, right, front run an SFP if that's what you want to see, right? Just because it front ran it here does not mean that it's always going to front run the SFP. Statistically, more likely than not, you'll take out those lows. But this was a trade that I missed. What do? I watch price go up. I don't care, right? Because there's plenty of money to be made. If I miss this long, I can catch this short. Even if I miss this long, I can catch this short. I can catch this long, this short. There's always another opportunity on the chart. Missed gains are none of your business, right? At that point, you can go back anywhere on the chart and be like, oh my God, I missed this move. I missed this move. I missed this move. And then you're going to wind up chasing. It's all emotional. You're going to wind up chewing up your account. I promise. I've been there. Take it from me, from my experience. But what did I do here? But I do believe we got this retracement into some key levels, and I took a trade on the retracement, right? Instead of FOMOing in at the top, taking a loss, I just simply wait. The pullback comes. I take the trade, right? And even if you miss this move, right, you can look in the consolidation. Maybe you can catch a trade within that range, right, and then ride it up to higher prices. So, you know, I don't really have advice for not feeling that feeling. I think you're always going to feel it. But the key is to not act on them. Right. And I mean, or act on it. Right. I honestly, the only reason that I started doing that was because I was just totally sick of doing it the wrong way. Right. Or what I would consider the wrong way. Right. I got sick of chasing the trades late and only for it to come down to my setup and give me the move that I wanted. Right. I wound up chewing up my account. And then finally I get into the long that I wanted. And then on that move up, and when I'm pushing into profit, I'm like, I have to eat through all those losses that I gained trying to FOMO in. And I should have just been more patient. And honestly, like the real test of your emotions there is this just comes up from here, right? I just don't care. Like I know how to read the charts. I know how to find setups. Like I just don't care what happens when my setups don't present themselves, right? I only take the trade. It's a system, right? If this, then that. I have my key levels. Is the key level hit? Yes. Is the confirmation there? Yes. Do I have a confluence? Yes. I take the trade. If I front run my key level, I don't have an entry confirmation and I don't have confluence, I just don't take the trade. It doesn't mean price can't do what you want it to do. It's just the higher probability is to wait for those key levels, right? And I said this in the premium Discord earlier today. Looking at this previous range here, it was like perfectly, like it's a perfect example. We talked about this on the live stream. Actually, kind of a similar situation, right? We started to get a bounce, right? We front ran our key level, which was the value area low, which was our major target for a short. I think this was a Friday. No, or I guess we were up here streaming on Friday. We front ran the low. Within the volume profile, the higher probability, not 100% probability, but the higher probability is to eventually fill the range in full. Do I FOMO into a long here? No. Actually, we took shorts up here. We waited for the retracement, took the shorts, and wound up holding those for the big capitulation. But what happens, right? We're up here on Friday. Oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God. Eventually on Sunday, we end up getting the tap of that value area low. Could this have come up and launched? Sure. I just would have missed that trade. It's just not a bad thing. I just think you have to delete that out of your it's like not only is it not a bad thing, I mean, of course, it sucks missing a trade, right? Like, you know, when I miss a trade, like, sure, maybe my brain is like, oh, man, you missed it, right? But, like, that's it. I just and I think the only way I'm able to not really act on that is because I have felt that feeling and then acted on it in the wrong way so many times, and it just doesn't work long term. Trust me, I've tried that for years. It didn't work. So now when I see a move, I'm like, I don't even care if this plays out for a massive move. I'll just wait for another setup. The faucet, like if you miss a long here, you're not going to be, if you miss a long here, you miss a long here. If you miss a short here, if you miss the shorts from the top, right? It's not that you're never going to be able to make money again, right? You're just going to catch a different setup. The faucet's always on, right? You don't have to take every single trade. But it's really hard. I think really the way you learn that is through experience. Honestly, I think maybe the quickest way to learn it is to just succumb to your emotions, chase the trades, get punished for it, and then eventually you'll be like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. That's kind of what happened to me. Let's see. Markets open 24/7. Yeah, that is true. At least in crypto. Permapulse never say we're about to go back to all-time highs, even deep in a bear market. Yeah, shout out to New Earth Guardian. That's very common. Honestly, what I would really like to see is the permabulls saying, oh my God, fine, it's over, right? Because then that's usually where it turns around. Hey, shout out to Martin. Thank you for the super chat. Says, your TA helps me look at the bigger picture. Let's go, baby. I love it. I love it. Thank you for the super chat, bro. I'm glad it helps you. Thank you for saying that. Means our work here is not going for no reason. 62.7 is the bottom. Probably will pump, not today or next week, until the end of the year. Pump it. Probably will pump, not today or next week, until the end of the year. Shout out to News. I don't know exactly what that means. As long as we hold the support at 0, we got nothing to worry about. Shout out to Fan of the Prophet. I would agree with that. As long as we don't break 0, guys. That's the real key support that we have to hold. Thanks for the explanation. Of course, brother. Of course. Will we hit all-time highs in 2026? I mean, it wouldn't be expected. Again, is it impossible? No. Is it statistically high probability? No. That's not what I would expect, right? And that also could change, right? Like, you have to understand, for me, and again, I will reiterate this, and this is the reason why oftentimes you see our stuff play out. It is because I just stick to the charts, right? If there was a reason to look for all-time highs in 2026, there will be something on the chart calling for it. It's not on the chart right now, right? Anybody saying, like, oh my God, the bottom's in, all-time highs in 2026, that is a prediction, not a high probability. That is just a random gamble. Could it be right? Maybe, right? I always point back to because here this was so clear. Everybody and their grandma was looking for $100,000, except for the chart. Could this have gone to 100K? Maybe, right? Nothing's impossible, but it is statistically lower probability. I always go with the higher statistical probability, right? Based off the actual analysis, the actual data, the actual technical confirmations, the actual volume. It was the statistical lower probability. And that's why this call here, right, not even at 108K, forget that, right? The call down here was very high probability, right? Because it was literally not just looked the same, but it was a very similar situation from a technical perspective than it was here, right? Not because it looks the same, but because the actual environment was very similar. So could this have gone to all-time highs? Like, someone asked me here, let's just say here, is it possible to go to all-time highs? Like, I don't know. Maybe, but it's very low probability. So I just go with the higher probabilities, right? Which is obviously a continuation down. So I would say the same thing there. Is it possible? I mean, yeah, anything is possible. But I would say very, very low probability statistically and from a TA perspective. If we were able to come up and we start seeing some kind of massive change on the chart, there will be signs for that, right? It's almost like back here. It's so weird, right? Because like I always more often than not, if you look at the charts, you're going to have to go against the herd. And it was kind of weird, right? People were like upset that we were looking for a bottom here and new all-time highs. A lot of people were calling this a bear market because we were 20% down off the highs. I don't know why. If you've ever been in crypto, a 30% pullback in a bull market is very common. But once we were down 20%, they were like, this is the bear market. Everybody's an idiot. I don't know. The charts were not saying that, right? The charts were saying massive continuation into the bull market. But I kind of had to fight people there. People were like upset with me saying that. But of course, I'm just going off the statistical higher probability. But the signs are on the chart there, right? Up here, we see the bearish divergences, right? It's easy. I don't want to say easy, right? Because it's not easy, but it's like easy for me to say, hey guys, probably looking for a big continuation down, right? Not a bear market just yet, right? But I have the signs on the chart that we are probably going down. right? We actually shorted up here at $104,000, and we rode it all the way down. All right, we had a big low volume gap down here that was likely to get filled. We had a lot of liquidity to get swept. We came right into the key levels, and we got that beautiful move down, right? But it's very simple for me to say that because it's like I have something to point to, right? Flip this chart upside down. It'd be very easy for me to say, well, flip market cipher upside down, right? It'd be very easy for me to say, hey, bullish divergences, higher highs, or lower lows, higher lows, money flow coming up, right? Pretend that's red money flow. Hey, we're going to go up, right? It would be very easy for me to say, like, hey, I have signs on the chart here saying we're going to go up. When I don't have those signs, doesn't mean it can't happen. It just means that, like, it's a low probability because nothing's pointing towards that, right? So all-time highs in 2026, I'd say it's low probability. Is it impossible? No. Just like, could we go to all-time highs here? I covered this live. People say, hey, like, this is a higher low. We're going to all-time highs. And I'm like, is it impossible? No. Is it lower probability? Yes. Is it higher probability to get a big capitulation down? Yes. What do I do with that information, right? I just make my decisions off the TI I give you guys. So if I think the higher probability is down, right, well, that's where we're taking the shorts, and we make generational wealth, right? Just because it's not impossible to go to all-time highs doesn't mean that I bet on that, right? As a matter of fact, I bet against that because the higher probability is down. So I would say the same thing. Is it impossible to go to 2026 highs in 2026? Possible, low probability though. So there you go. Let's see. I'm feeling bullish. Shout out to Fred. Yeah, I mean, depending on the time frame, we'll see. I mean, again, 3-hour money flow trying to cross into the green, 4-hour red dot incoming somewhat soon. I'll just let this play out, right? And when I come back onto the charts on Monday, whether we're down here or up here, I just approach the chart with a fresh mindset, right, or a fresh plan. All right, are we coming into key levels? Do I have a setup? If so, take the trade, make money. If not, sit on my hands, wait for the key level. It's very nice way to trade, right? Because you're not like, we're going high, we're going lower, we're going high, we're going lower. Doesn't matter, right? I'm just waiting for the confirmations. The market does not care about your feelings, yeah. And it is funny, too, because, like, all the time, right, at the highs, you'll get the bulls and the bears. Bears, this thing's going to zero 100%. Bulls, this is going to 100K, $100 million, 100%, right? It's always in these moments that you see all the emotions come in. And after we've gotten this big capitulation down, right, just being able to measure sentiment based off of, like, comments just in crypto in general, you see all the emotions come out. People are like, the bottom is in. We have to go up. We're never going back down. We're never going back up, right? And it's like, you ask me, it's like, I never have one of those strong stances, right? It's like, show me the charts. I'm going with that decision. Let's see. Shout out to Sandra. Thank you for the super chat. Said, trying to get WeX Premium to work on Discord. Shout out to Sandra. You don't have to super chat again, but what exactly do you mean by WeX Premium? Shout out to Sandra. I'm not 100% sure exactly what you mean by that. Don't send another super chat, but drop it in the chat. At Tony D. I think Tony D has me in his ear. Can somebody, one of the mods, highlight her next chat or his next chat? So they don't have to super chat again. The London lady. Yeah, shout out to Sandra. You are a female, right? Let me know. I never know what the Discord handles. The YouTube handles. Buy when money flow is in the red, sell when it's in the green. Yeah, shout out to Kelly, right? Like, you look at the... Again, I mean, not going to lie, guys. We talk about this last cycle and this cycle. Historically, right? Just emotions aside, cycle aside, arguments in the comments aside, weekly money flow crossovers have historically marked bear markets, right? Doesn't mark the start of the bear market, which would literally be the top, right? It marks kind of the last phase of it, right? You get money flow crossover, big capitulation down, accumulation, bull market. Weekly money flow crossover, big capitulation down, accumulation, bull market, right? Black swan, right? Ignore that, obviously. Weekly money flow crossover, big capitulation, accumulation, bull market, right? At this point, I think the arguments for lower are kind of negligent, right? It's like, imagine here. It's like, oh, we're going to 5K, we're going to 2K. And that's where you start to see a lot of those arguments come out. People start fighting in the comments. Oh, my God, you're a bull, I'm a bear, whatever. At that point, it's just like, I mean, we already got a majority of the move down. At this point, starting to search for a bottom to form, whether it has to come out on a lower low or it has to come up and show a sign of strength. It's where we're looking for a bottom, right? 2026 bottom watch is what I'm calling this, right? Weekly money flow crossover, big capitulation down, whether we have to wiggle to lower prices or not, right? This is bottom watch. So there's your good news, right? Shout out to Frankie. Shout out to Straw Chad. Shout out to you, bro. Just a super chat to shout out Frankie Candles. I love it, bro. Shout out to Fallout Crypto, said bear market question mark. I personally think we've been in a bear market for a while. It's going lower and higher and lower and higher and lower and higher. Shout out to North Guardian. Guys, Frankie is AI. No, I'm not. That's the good news. Shout out to Give Talent Turn to Race. Yeah, I guess. What about the heavy resistance at 69.5? Let's take a look here. Oops. I mean, again, depending on the context here, it's a golden pocket. It's the POC of the range. When I'm referring to like heavy resistance, it's typically from a high time frame perspective, right? They're monthly levels, they're weekly levels. At that point, right, looking at the monthly and the weekly levels, right, like the heavy support's down here, the heavy resistance all the way up at about 86 to 88K. So, I mean, this is resistance, right, of course. Whoops. Where is it? There we go. Right, you have your golden pocket up here. Come on. You have your golden pocket. You have your POC. I mean, you don't really have any, like, daily horizontals in there at all. Yeah, that's tapped. You don't have a daily horizontal. You don't have a weekly horizontal. You don't have any MPOCs. So, I mean, it's resistance. I wouldn't necessarily call it, like, high time frame. But, yeah, that's what I have to say about that. Can we write prompts to Frankie like to an AI? Shout out to La Vida. Living a vida loca. Yes, I do respond to AI prompts. Eden says, good night, everybody. Shout out to Eden. Have a great night. Have a good Valentine's Day. Oh, there's Tony D. There we go. Oh, Tony D. Yeah, WeX is not part of the dining room. So what she's referring to is, let me pull this up real quick. The freemium section of the Discord, the dining room, if you use any of our exchange affiliates, you can get access. So Femex, Blowfin, and Mexi are currently part of this. If you use any of our affiliate links for any of those exchanges, you can get access here. You get one premium TA post per week. A lot of times they're a setup. I think this was the last major one, the $91,000 short, literally right before the capitulation down. Sometimes they're just TA posts, but a lot of times they are setups. But you get one per week. Obviously, we do this daily in the premium. So if you wanted to check it out, you guys can come down here over to the free Discord, go to unlock access in the dining room, and you can read through this. But yeah, it's Femex, Blowfin, and Mexi, Sandra. So that's probably why there's no WeX button. So there you go. Hopefully that answers your question. Let's see. Shout out to Red Wave, said, if I have dry powder on the side, should I wait until the market crashes more before buying more ISO 222 assets? Shout out to Red Wave. I'm not going to tell you when to buy altcoins. I always recommend, like, one thing I can recommend from like a strategy perspective is a lot of people just want to snipe the low. Something you have to understand is, in my opinion, right, DCA is the way. So yeah, I can't tell you where to buy. I'm not a financial advisor, nor will I ever tell anybody, buy this altcoin right now, right? All I really do here is share the charts, what I think is going to happen. I will never like guide people on what to do with their money. I'll share with you what I do. But like, even just like using Bitcoin structure as an example, right? At the end of the day, like, if you're not buying, like, again, most of the time people will tell me they're buying up here, even in my personal life, right? Like, everybody, all my family, like friends trying to buy XRP here after the massive move up, right? I'm just pointing structurally because this is where XRP got the pop. And it's just like, that's where I'm like, oh, I had to ease up on that. But I mean, this is where I just say, personally, I would never, there's no situation where I'm ever buying Bitcoin up here or an altcoin up here, right? If I didn't buy it down here, if I didn't buy it down here, if I didn't buy it down here or down here, like, there's just no situation where I would ever buy on high time frame, massive green candles like that. We are now in a situation where we do not have that, right? We have massive high time frame red candles. I can't say this is the bottom. I will never tell you to buy Bitcoin here, right? I'll just share with you my thoughts, right? DCA zone, I would say this is a DCA zone. That does not mean price will go higher. The reason DCA is so nice, and I'd like to use a weighted DCA, meaning dropping in lighter portions of your bag, get another drop, heavier portion of your bag, get another drop, heavier portion of your bag, helping you average your cost on the way down. So I just don't tell people when to buy altcoins, but you can use that kind of theory. And I think another thing that a lot of people don't understand is, like, it depends, right? There's a lot of stuff you have to take into consideration. Do you believe in the project? I do think that altcoins are going to be a totally different animal moving forward into the new cycles. I think gone are the days of, like I say all the time, of throwing a dart at a board and having your altcoin 50x. That's kind of like the benefit of being in an asset in the early stages, like in 2016 and 2021. At this point, right, like, I think the altcoins are very, you got to be picky with the altcoins, right? We have a lot more altcoins now, making the liquidity harder to spread out through so many altcoins. So, I mean, when you're looking at a chart, right, it's like, would I ever buy XRP up here? No. And I'll be honest, guys. Like, honestly, listening to retail, like normie retail, is almost like a perfect signal. It's like, up here, literally all of my personal friends and family were like, oh my God, should I sell all my altcoins and buy XRP? It's mooning. And I'm like, dude. And I guess it's just hard for me because I've been doing this for so long. I try to show them in the chart. And I'm like, for me, there's no reality that exists where I buy an altcoin like that, right? If I'm not in from lower and I did not enjoy that move to the upside, I have missed the move. Right now, if I do the TA and I think there's a high probability of a massive continuation up, maybe I buy the lows, right? So when people ask me, like, should I dollar cost average altcoins? I'm not going to answer that question, but I am, if people were telling me, I wish they would, right? I wish my friends were texting me right now being like, oh my God, XRP's down like crazy. Should I buy XRP? I'm just using XRP as an example. Oh my God, Cardano's down. Should I buy Cardano? Right? Like, there, I wouldn't really be as, hesitant to be like, well, yeah, like, I would never do that, right? But, like, obviously, Cardano down massively, right? It's not to say that it can't go lower, but I would just, without being like, I'm not going to tell you whether to buy or not, but I'm much more interested in buying these moves than these moves, right? Now, again, I wouldn't necessarily put my whole bag into something, but, like, hey, like, we're back down to the 2022 bear market lows for a coin that, if you believe in, it's like, well, hey, like, that's pretty cheap, right? Even if it goes lower. But you do have to be careful, right? I think a lot of people learned their lesson with altcoins, that a lot of retail was way overexposed on altcoins, chasing the becoming a millionaire in 2 days, right? So, for me personally, the way I weight my portfolio is much heavier Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, higher market cap altcoins, much lower percentage exposed to low cap altcoins, right? I still have a bunch of altcoins that are deep in the red, right? I'm not going to sell the bottom, but it's such a small portion of my portfolio that it's not really detrimental. So there you go. I know it's probably not the answer that you wanted, but yeah, that's kind of how you have to think about it, right? Like, if my family was calling me, like, if the people that told me they were buying Cardano up here or XRP up on the big pushes up, they were telling me now, like, hey, should I buy Cardano, right? It's like, well, hey, I mean, it's down massively off the previous high, right? So it's like not as much different than buying the top. Hopefully that makes sense. But that never happens, right? Here XRP is, Right? It's just the simple psychology of the market. Once you get over this, man, it's like it really becomes so much more simple. Down 70% off the highs. My phone is a ghost town. No one's texting me. No one's emailing me. No one emails me in general. No one's texting me. No one's calling me. No one's saying, should I buy? Right? Even like the traditional like Thanksgiving dinner stuff. Right? It's like it's only during the holidays. Right? Like especially here. I saw a lot of my family for the holidays where everyone's like, oh, what should I buy? What should I buy? What should I buy? And I'm like, dude, I was texting you during the bear market, man. Like you're too late. But like, you know, we go here if the next holiday season, right? If we're down, no one's going, oh man, like everything's on sale. They're like, oh man, like looks like crypto's dead forever, right? And I'm like, no, this mindset that you have now is the reason why you were trying to buy the top last time. It's very hard. So yeah, there you go. I'll email you, bro. Shout out to Jake from Reddit. Oh, I should get an email from Jake from State Farm, from that lady that crashed into my car. Remember to drink water. Yo, shout out to FICO. Is that Dark Crash? I was actually thinking of Dark Crash today because I chugged a bunch of water before the stream, and I was like, I haven't seen Dark Crash tell everybody to drink water recently. Love tonight's stream. Shout out to Dylan. I appreciate you, bro. I love tonight's stream, too. Buy Jake coin. Buy State Farm coin. Family, gotta love them. Shout out to the Godfather. Let's go. Long-term hodler here. Never sold a coin since I got started in 2019. Oh, hey, shout out to Red Wave. Nice, bro. Nice. Yeah, I mean, honestly, the more I'm in crypto, the longer I'm in crypto, the longer my long-term mindset is. Like, I actually explained this recently. I am not in this position, right? But if I were in the position of buying down here, holding my spot bags from here, and like holding all the way through this, right? If I were to round trip my bags this cycle, I am so much more comfortable at this point. Like, I believe in Bitcoin long term. I personally, ask yourself this question, right? You know, most people that want the exact level that the bottom's going to come in at, they want to get rich quick, right? It's a very dangerous mindset to have. Ask yourself this question. In the next 5 years, 10 years, do you think Bitcoin will be over $68,000? That's how you can kind of judge if you should start dollar cost averaging in or not. And again, you could add in the key levels, as we covered earlier in the stream, the high time frame levels. But like, do you think that Bitcoin will be above $68,000 in the next 5 to 10 years? And if your answer to that is, I don't want to wait 5 to 10 years, you're going to have a really rough time. So just ask yourself that question. I'll buy Bitcoin right now. I think it's going to be, I'm going to hold it for 10 years, 5 years, whatever it is. Now, I'm more of a trader, so I do take profits at the tops. But at the end of the day, if I did round trip my coins, right, I'd be sitting here saying, like, you know, at the end of the day, I'm not going to sell the bottom, right? Even if we go lower, I'm not going to sell the bottom. I believe in 5 years. I don't need to I wouldn't need to withdraw my cash out on my Bitcoin for money, right? Because I'm allocated correctly. I don't have like all of my money in crypto. I'm not 100% on it. Probably more of my net worth than people would recommend, a financial advisor would recommend was in crypto. But, you know, like I am not putting my life, I don't put my life savings into crypto, right? So if I round tripped here, it's like, well, hey, like I allocated a portion of my money that I didn't really need to touch for a long time. And if I did have to be in a situation where I round tripped, regardless of how low we go, I do believe that if Bitcoin definitely goes down to 4070, if it went down to 30K, I believe even more that it'll be higher than that in the next 5 to 10 years, right? So I think it's an easy question to ask yourself. Hey, should I buy down here in the 60s? Well, in the next 5 to 10 years, do you think it'll be higher than that? There's your answer, right? I don't want to wait 5 to 10 years. Extend your time horizon. Yeah, shout out to New Earth Guardian said, you guys know you can long and short at the same time, right? That is true. The fast dump is coming soon around 5 to 4 U.S. time, I think. Shout out to Missed Loop. Hey, maybe my scalp short will end up playing out. Maybe we won't get the bull div. I don't know. We'll see. If we print this green dot, probably going to get dangerously close to my stop loss there. But that's okay, right? Am I going to lose all of my money? No. I'm going to stop out for a small loss. Do you use multiple cold wallets? Shout out to Jerry. Yes. Anytime you use a hot wallet, cold wallet, I always say this bank account, exchange, anything. You don't want like your entire net worth sitting in one place, right? But yeah, that is like even a bank account, right? Sure, it's FDIC insured, but only up to $250,000. If you have $1 million, sure, you could hold $1 million in one bank account, but just understand, right? God forbid a bank goes down, you're only going to get $250,000 back. Same thing with exchanges, right? Like I would never put all of my money on one exchange. If that exchange goes down, I lose all my money. That's kind of why I like leverage exchanges, right? Because I don't need to hold $150,000 on an exchange to open up bigger position sizes. Kind of like manages the risk there when it comes to like capital custody. So yeah, like you definitely don't want to, right? Like, I don't know, your hot wallet gets hacked. You don't want to get hacked for all your Bitcoin, right? Cold wallet's obviously very different, but even then, right? Like, I don't know. What if the bank, I don't know. I guess the safety deposit boxes are probably like super fireproof, but like, I don't know. Like what if, I don't know. Like what if something happens to the safety deposit box, right? Crazy things happen. I don't know. Maybe people don't hold them in safety deposit boxes, but shout out to Great Life said, do you know if there's a way to hedge long and short on Hyperliquid? I would assume there probably is. I don't use Hyperliquid. Maybe I'll start testing out Hyperliquid, though. People seem to like it a lot. But I'm sure there probably is. Usually, like on all the exchanges that I use, like Blowfin, Femex, Weex, you do have to go into the settings and turn on hedge mode. Otherwise, if you're in a long and you open up a short, it won't open up a separate position, so you do have to turn on hedge mode. So I would recommend like go into the settings and see if there's a hedge mode and then turn it on, and then you should be able to open up multiple positions. If they don't have the setting, then maybe you can't do it. Yeah, a lot of large crypto holders found that out the hard way recently. Shout out to Crypto Night. Yeah, you just got to be careful. Just boof the cold wallet and no one will find it. Shout out to Rudy. Oh, man. That's a super safe spot. Crazy. Smash the like button, guys. Shout out to Brillo. He said it, not me. Shout out to Nice Punk. Says, hey, Frankie. Shout out to you, brother. Welcome in. If you had all your money in one mattress, it gets lumpy. Spread it throughout the house. Shout out to Indian Martini. The only thing I don't like about the house is framed out in wood. Wood is flammable. Fireproof safes are good, but I don't know. Maybe you get a defective one. I don't know. I'm like super, super safe with my stuff. Did we perform as expected this Bitcoin cycle? Shout out to Crypto Maxi. That's a great question. So for me, personally, let me just hide the key levels here, right? We had our major targets. Do I have these? Let me see. I don't think I have the original targets here. So my major targets here were on this slightly adjusted Fibonacci extension tool, right? So we didn't have this level. Oops. Right, so first major target was $92 to about $102,000. Fibonacci extension, right? We drew these like during the bear market. Like when people ask like, how high do you think we can go? And to that I answer, I don't know, right? But what I can do is mark off the key resistance levels where I will be looking for tops to form. Number one, we had $92 to $102,000, right? Why was this the first target? Well, it's your first Fibonacci extension, and then, of course, that does include the fact that you get the first significant break of the all-time high. So if we come up and break the all-time high, the first zone I'll be looking at is 92 to 102K. Again, talked about when we were down here. We get into that zone. We wind up seeing bearish confirmation. We get the first big pullback, right? A lot of people thought, and again, well, like people were saying this was a bear market. I just could never understand why that was the case. And not oftentimes when I'm looking for new all-time highs, people are just like, all right, cool, nice. But for some reason, people were like adamant about this being like, I don't know, maybe people that missed the bottom. I don't know what was going on there. But what do we see? We see some bearish confirmation. We get a pullback. Now, am I looking at that as a top forever? No. Weekly money flows in the green. You have plenty of time left in the cycle. We also got the massive bullish confirmations at our key levels of support that we looked at here. But of course, that was target number one. Target number two above that was between $137,000 and $130,000. This is where, right? And if I just hide this local, well, we had this local target as well. But it was between about $130,000 and $137,000. That was like the next major target. So these were the first two major targets that I had on the chart, right? Number one was hit perfectly, got the rejection. Number two was sitting up here. Notice number two did not get hit. That is because targets do not mean you have to go there. Right? This is just, if we pushed in here, that would be a very likely place to look for a top. But of course, as the price action develops, you're able to pull up more local targets, right? Between 118 and 124K. If the top looked like it was coming in here, we would have called the top, right? Or I would have said, hey, massive confirmation that this is probably the start of the bear market, and that's what we would look for, right? That wasn't the case. We look for new all-time highs. We get it. Here, we start front-running the $130,000 to $137,000 level. We come into more of these local Fibonacci extensions between about 118 and 131K, right? The lower zone was topped out at about 125K. And then at that moment, right, did you guys see me come up on the stream and say, that's it, top is in, we tapped the level, top's in? No, right? Because we needed more information. It wasn't until we got the drop down here, or I'm sorry, the drop down to about 108K, where we started to see weekly money flow coming out on the 2-day, right? The 50-week moving average getting very close, and then we start to question the timing of the cycle. Oh my God, I don't know, guys. If we lose this 50-week moving average, probably a very high probability that we are going to go into a bear market. Right? And go back to those streams. I actually I never recommend people go rewatch my streams because the information is old. But if you go back to like when we were hovering around here and see what we were looking at and why we were anticipating this big drop down, it played out perfectly. And it was for very specific reasons, right? It's not, oh my God, 130K didn't come, like that was a scam. No, right? You're never going to know the exact level. But if you could get that first drop down and identify, okay, this is starting to look pretty bad. If that 2-day money flow is crossing into the red, we're expecting at least a pretty decent trend to the downside, maybe this. And at that point, you've lost the 50-week moving average, very bearish, right? Weekly money flow starts coming out, very bearish, typically indicating a bear market. And that's why that loss of $108,000 was very important for me to start saying, hey guys, 126K might be the top. So, from a larger, higher time frame perspective, I would say it kind of played out pretty close to what I would have expected, right? I was not personally, and again, like I even recommend maybe going back to like I would have to find that you would have to look through hundreds of streams. But like even like planning the bull market, my bull market plan with the major targets, like you front run that second target. But if we got up here, guys, I've said this time and time again, I am offloading most of my Bitcoin, especially if we have massive weekly bullish divergences into that level. What happened? We didn't hit that level. We put in the massive weekly bearish divergences into a lower major level of resistance. We still identified the signs of weakness. I did not sell 126K. I actually sold around like 108, 109K. Still pretty much the top, but very confidently, right? Just saying like, hey, I don't think there's a high probability we're going to come take this, right? Why? Massive bearish confirmations. No guarantee you have to come up to that target, right? When you see those, and again, if the confirmations were here, I would have probably done the same thing, right? I'm not expecting that second target. So I would say like my kind of like my biggest kind of target here was between 137 and 156K. I didn't really expect to go much higher than this, even if we got up there. And like, why does that, everyone expects 200K. Everyone expects 250K, right? It's like everyone expected 100K here. We didn't get anywhere close to it, right? So yeah, I would say like pretty much, I mean, if we hit 137K, I would say it would played out exactly how I would have thought, right? We just kind of front ran that zone, which is also identifiable by the local price action. So yeah, I would say if we came up here, it would have been like almost spot on to what I would have expected. We front ran it a little bit, still wound up not being that bad. So there you go. Based off my expectations, at least, people who were just calling for 250K for I don't know what reason, they would think this was super underperforming. Like, I don't know. I was looking for this all the way back here in 2023. So yeah, I don't know. Into the volume gap. Shout out to Rocket Man. Into the volume gap. Maybe you're talking about the big volume gap above. Well, I would expect if you get into that volume gap, probably a pretty fast push to the upside. Again, I don't know what volume gap you're talking about exactly, but what is going on here? Where is that anchored VWAP coming from? Oh. Oh, that's the 50-week moving average. I just drew that. All right, let's see. 250 was too bullish. Yeah, and the other thing too here, guys, is like, you know, everybody just wants to hear me come up here on the live stream and say 250K incoming, right? I just won't do that, right? Because like there's no way for me to say that. Thank God I don't do that, right? I just look for the signs of weakness, right? What if we went up here? Well, if the signs of weakness were there, I would have said, hey, we lose this, probably pretty bearish, right? But is it impossible to go to 200K? Is it impossible to go to 250K? No. But if we're gonna go to 200K, if we're gonna go to 250K, we won't get these massive bearish signs at 108K, right? If we get up here and we're gonna go to 200K, we wouldn't see those massive bearish confirmations. If we got up here and didn't see the massive bearish confirmations, if it didn't look like the top was coming in there, then we would say, hey, next major target's probably between 191 and 200, right? But there's nothing, especially when people call for that, all the way down here. It's a gamble, guys. It's a gamble. Nobody knows that, right? But the problem is a lot of people will speak as if they know. And they just time and time again get proven wrong and wrong and wrong and wrong. And the charts just end up being right. So it's very dangerous, right? And that's why I always say the best thing you can do is at least learn how to read the chart to a basic degree. So you can actually weigh what you're being told by people against something that is actually legit. Right? If someone says, hey, 200K incoming, and you see massive weekly bearish divergences, massive weekly money flow coming out on the 2-day, higher time frames, likely indicating a bear market, you start losing the 50-week moving average, and you can project these big moves down, and someone's saying 200K, and you say, why? And they say, 'cause moon, you could be like, okay, these guys know. I'm going to go with my analysis, right? Very important. I think it's the best way, right? Because like, you could literally put that against what people tell you. If someone said, hey, 200K is incoming, and they had like real information for that, right? It's always some, oh, but like then this gets adopted, and then, you know, then this news event will happen. And it's like, but what if that doesn't happen, right? The charts tell you what is actually going on. The money flow coming out is showing you that money is leaving the asset as price is continuing up. It's a legit divergence, right? Momentum coming down as price is going up. That's an actual divergence. That is a real thing, real data on the charts. It's not, I mean, you could try to forecast it, right? But then at least when you get to that point, you could see, did it happen or did it not? If it's happening, then boom. If it's not happening, well, hey, you can continue looking up. That's why I love the charts, right? Would you DCA into Bitcoin or Solana at these levels? Bitcoin, yes. I have a decent-sized soul bag already, but not opposed to getting more. Yeah, at least for Bitcoin, right? Like I like to be very, very careful about, you know, with just like telling people to dollar cost average into altcoins because, you know, again, I'm personally in the camp. Solana's not really in that group of altcoins that I'm talking about to mention, but, you know, a majority of altcoins will not make it, right? A majority of altcoins will never go back to all-time highs in the next cycle. So Solana's not in that camp, in my opinion, at least. Not saying it has to go to all-time highs. That's just my thought. But, yeah, like this is, of course, right, like the two biggest zones, in my opinion. I love that we're getting these questions, right? Because, like, usually it's like, should I buy up here? Now people are saying, should I buy down here? I like that so much better than when people ask to buy in the top. Like, zone number 1, oh, my God, TradingView with these settings. Hopefully they could fix that. Like, we've come into major zone number 1. And technically this does run down to about, you know, 55K. Zone number 1, right? I'm interested in dollar cost averaging here. Lose this, right? Next major zone is going to be $55 to $47K. All right, these are the two. I'm kind of like this giant zone. This is really the areas that I'm interested in. We lose 47K. It's a bunch of different ways you could do that. Again, if you're weighted dollar cost averaging, right? You know, you'll get light entry, heavier entry. So your average dollar cost average comes down. And then you could choose, right, depending, I mean, this is situational, right? I'm holding shorts from the highs. So you could choose to either stop yourself out of those spot bags, because I personally think if we lose 47K, we're probably headed down towards 30, or, you know, again, the personal preference, you can just look to heavier weighted dollar cost average in there towards 30K. But yeah, I mean, these levels and these levels are definitely interesting to me. So there you go. Definitely much different than when people are like, should I buy into Bitcoin? I'm like, I don't know. Me personally, like, I would never buy the top. Like, there's no reality that exists that I would buy these candles. There's no reality that exists where I would buy these candles. There's no reality that exists where I would buy these candles. Obviously, I was positioned here very well in the previous bear market for the bull run. But if I wasn't, does it mean I would not buy Bitcoin? Not necessarily, right? But I would buy the big red candles, buy the big red candles, buy as I'm pushing into support, now that I'm tapping into resistance with bearish confirmation. So kind of use that logic here. I would never, no reality that exists when I buy in here. I'm interested here and here. With the caveat of lose 47K, right? I can't tell you what to do with your bag. Stop yourself out or just buy more as you go down as a weighted dollar cost average. But, we lose this. I'm probably expecting a massive drop down towards 30K. But again, we might not have to see that. I'm hopeful that we won't have to see that. So there you go. Shout out to Brillo, said, I remember watching your streams around September, October, and honestly really hating you talking about all the huge bearish signs and the daily money flow first coming out. How I've changed. Shout out to Brillo. Yes. And I will probably deal with the same thing on the way down, guys. If I have those massive bullish confirmations, right, like we had down here in 2021, we're going to have to deal with the same thing. People being like, this guy's an idiot. Obviously, Bitcoin's never going back up. This thing's going to zero. Don't you understand? Don't you understand? And I'll just be pointing to the technical confirmations. Of course, never financial advice. I just tell you guys what I like to do, right? And I'll be pointing to these things just like we pointed to these things, right? And I'll be like, I don't know, guys. Looks like the bottom could be in there at whatever. In this case, 15K. People will be like, no, it's going lower. It's going lower. You're an idiot. Charts don't matter. Charts don't matter. And then, I don't know. Pretty crazy. This experience, talking about this up here in October, November, this experience was very similar to the experience I had. I did not have my channel up here, but it was very, very similar to the experience I had when we started talking about the top being in at 69K, but when we were pushing in for that lower high, right? This experience was very similar to that. People hated me. But once again, right, and I don't say this to brag or be like, haha, but like once again, right, the charts were right. So there you go. Thoughts on buying current prices in lump sums or always better to DCA? I mean, shout out to Andrew. It's a personal preference, man. For me personally, I was like, DCA is just so much safer, right? But you just have to ask yourself these questions, right? No one's going to have the magical answer. You just have to ask yourself these questions and say to yourself, am I willing to take that risk, right? Should you put your whole bag in here? Maybe you put your whole bag in. We just kind of bing bong around a little bit. Bottom comes in, right? And then eventually we go into another bull run. And then you're like, oh my God, I bought almost the bottom. But what if you get another drop down, right? What if you come down to tap that value area high at 55K? Are you willing to endure a 20% drop? If the answer is, I don't want to pay attention, I just want to buy here, I don't care if it goes to 30K, I'm expecting it to go up in the next 10 years, I just want to buy here, or I need to buy it here for some reason and put my whole bag in, just understand, like, ask yourself the question, if we have to go down here, can I endure that? If we go down here, can I endure that, right? If the answer is no, and you're going to panic sell your bag down there, well, then dollar cost average is probably better, right? I would say in general, dollar cost average is the way. But it's not that you can't, like, again, like even me, as close as we got to knowing almost the exact bottom here, I did not wait for $15,000 to buy, right? I dollar cost average, dollar cost average, dollar cost average, dollar cost average. It's much safer and much less stressful, right? Because it's like, oh, I dropped down to 12K with dollar cost average, right? Now my average entry price starts here on the first buy. Starts here on the first buy, wiggles its way down, Maybe we go to 12 to 14K, wiggles its way down, right? That's just the way I personally like to do it. And what I think is probably best for most people, not financial advice, of course. Shout out to Arkham, says, nice chart. Thank you. Frankie has a crystal ball. Shout out to, I don't know how to say that name. Shout out to 6320. We don't have a crystal ball, guys. I swear. It's just the coffee we drink. Special Frankie Candles coffee. Grown to really appreciate Bart Simpson. The old Bart pattern. All right, let's see. We're getting the 30-minute green dot here yet? Oh, my God. I'll tell you this, guys. If I get stopped out of this position, it's probably going to be on that 30-minute green dot. And then who knows? Maybe we put the bear div in and then we get the drop down. That would be... And just to give you insight, right? Let's say we get the push up, bearish divergence prints. Let's say it does stop me out, and then it comes down. I don't care. I just took a small loss. I'll come back here on Monday and find another trade. Right? So, oh my God, I got wrecked. I missed a move. Oh my God, it's sitting on the 1 minute chart. I should have got it. Get in, get out. It's just stopped out. Nah, I'll come back Monday. Right? Trading offers a level of freedom that almost nothing else can offer you, and I think a lot of people get addicted to the charts and give up the freedom that it offers you. Right? At the end of the day, if I did not have a Discord, if I did not have this YouTube channel, this money that I made on the shorts, I'd probably be chilling right now, right? Just like, I'm going to take a month off trading and just relax. I made a ton of money on this move down. I'll continue to manage the shorts. But I'd probably take a little bit of a break. I haven't taken a break in 4 years, though, because obviously I have like a full-time job. I kind of took the freedom that trading gives me and just put myself in a position where I don't have that freedom. I mean, I could still have the freedom, but I just enjoy this so much that I kind of not force myself to work, but I just kind of like end up working all the time because I enjoy it. But like, you know, if I were just some random guy in a room taking these same trades, right? Like I'd probably be on vacation right now chilling. And I know when I came back to the charts, if Bitcoin was all the way up here, right? Like maybe I'd look for the dollar cost averages, but I would just come onto the charts, right? Like let's say I fall asleep for a month, right? And I wake up and whether Bitcoin's up here or Bitcoin's down here, I'll be able to come to the fresh chart and go, all right, what's going on here? Where's the next trade? Right? It doesn't matter what happened in between. Addicted to hustle. Yeah, shout out to fiat level. I guess that's kind of my addiction. Is like I just enjoy doing this so much that I just get stuck doing this constantly. But I wouldn't have it any other way. You spoke it into existence, Frankie. No, I hope not. Come on, don't do it to us. Oh, there's the 30-minute green dot. Will she do it? I'll tell you this right now, guys. We'll do the giveaways, and then I'm going to sign off the live stream. And the second I go get off the live stream, it's either going to play out in my favor or it's going to stop me out. I probably would say, based off this 30-minute wave here, probably higher probability it stops me out. And I do like in the premium sometimes. Like I was hoping I got stopped out in the premium because like I like to show people. You are never going to avoid, right? People always ask me questions like, yeah, but like, what if this other thing plays out and the trade doesn't happen and the trade doesn't play out in your favor? Well, it's like that happens, right? Like that is a part of trading. A lot of the questions that I see asked by a lot of beginners is like they're almost indirectly saying to themselves or saying to me, well, you know that trade might not play out. And I'm like, yeah, I know that. I actually prepared for that by setting the risk, right? Or managing the risk or allocating my risk correctly. And the reason that's important to understand is because there's never going to be a trade that you 100% are going to be confident in. Now, you might have some trades that you're more confident in than others. In this case, I would say this is a little lower probability. But at the end of the day, I have my stop loss set. I'm either going to get an email that I got stopped out of the trade, and I'm going to go, oh, that one didn't play out. I've been stopped out before. I will be stopped out many times again. As long as I wasn't, oh, liquidation alert. That's where I'm like, oh, I messed up. Oops. Right? But if it's I'm either going to get the email that I got. I might be out with Mrs. Candles. Maybe it happens tomorrow. Maybe tonight we go out to dinner. I'm either going to get the email I got stopped out. I'm going to go, oh, got stopped out. So what were you saying, babe? That's how that goes, right? You can't win every single trade. And I think the reason I say that is because when I first started trading, I was looking for the thing that would allow me to get into a trade without worry. Right? Worry, right? Meaning without risk. How can I just where's the trade that I could take that's just definitely going to play out? It doesn't exist, right? You could have every confirmation. Sometimes you get a beautiful confirmation. Let's say we get the 15-minute bear div here, or 30-minute bear div, right? And a beautiful SFP or something like that. Perfect setup, perfect confluence. Sometimes you're going to get stopped out of those positions too. But guess what? If I get stopped out of those positions and I see that same setup the next day, I'm taking that same setup because statistically, over time, they will play out more in my favor than not. It's I got to figure out a cheat sheet on how to just emotionally attach yourself from getting stopped out. Because when you get stopped out, people see it as a loss. As a human, it hurts your ego. I was wrong. You start second guessing yourself. Am I bad at this? Oh my God. You kind of just have to see it as a cost of doing business, right? You have a pizza place. You make 100 pies. You only sell 95 of them. Are you going to stop making pizza because 5 of them got lost? Or 5 of them you had to throw out or whatever? No. If you have a slow night and you make 100 pizzas, you only sell 50, and you have to throw out half the pizza, are you just going to shut down your business because you didn't sell enough pizza? Well, maybe you'll notice, hey, on Wednesdays we don't really sell 100 pies normal. We actually only sell like 45 to 50, right? So maybe only make 55 pies. That would be like managing your risk, right? You're just going to stop making pizza? No, right? I don't know if that analogy made sense, but great analogy, yeah. I always use the casino analogy, right? Someone hits a jackpot, they don't shut down the business, right? They're just like, we planned for this. Like, we know we're going to have to pay people sometimes, too. You have to pay the market sometimes, too. Failing is a good thing. It lets you know what you need to work on, and it's up to you to make those changes so failure can always be positive. Absolutely. 100%. That's the best way to say it. Like, I think the best way to learn is, like, to get into the market and make the mistakes, right? That's why I say, like, if you're struggling with, like, missing a move and chasing the trade, go chase the trades. Continuously chase the trades. You'll then realize the mistake, and then you'll be like, okay, this isn't working. I needed to, like, experience this not working for me to actually make the difference or make the change. I know I had to. People would say, manage your risk. Don't touch the hot stove. I sat there, ow, ow. Is that really hot? Ow, ow, my God. Why do I keep doing this? And then eventually I just got tired of it. Losses are school fees. Yeah, absolutely. It's market tuition, right? Which is crazy because I always say people go to college. They spend tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars going to college. Yet nobody goes into their first class and goes, why don't I have the best job? Why don't I have the corner office on their first week at orientation at college, right? They're not like, but in the market, it's very similar. You have to kind of pay that market tuition to learn through experience, make those actual mistakes, feel the emotions of those mistakes in order to fix them. Some people will go learn those mistakes and go, I didn't get rich quick. This is a scam. I quit, right? That's why most people lose, in my opinion. Love the sizzle and burn. Shout out to Fiat Level. Wait for good setups. Accept the idea of the losses before the gains. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Right? That's why when people tell me they're stressed out about missed gains, I'm like, that's just none of my business, right? Like, if I have a key level here, right? Just for example, this is just random TA. If I have a key level here and a key level here, and I'm looking for longs or shorts here, or I'm looking for longs here, right? You don't need to long this, short this, long this, short this, long this, short this, right? You could just let price action do what it's going to do, right? I don't care if it goes down here, up here, down here, up here. Whatever happens inside of here, I don't care, right? Oh, my God, I missed a short. Oh, my God, I missed a long. Oh, my God, I missed a short. Oh, my God, I missed a long. Short. Oh, my God, I'm missing it. I'm missing it. I'm missing it. Boop. Confirmation. That's my trade. Vice versa. Confirmation. That's my trade. If I don't get that set up at one of these levels for a day, I don't take a trade that day, right? Not to say that you can't go to a lower time frame and try to trade this, but if I'm interested in these levels and I'm not interested in scalping, well, then I'll just wait for those bigger key levels. And sometimes I'll come back to the chart and I'll be like, over the weekend, I'll say I have a key level here, a key level here. And then over the weekend, we just wind up doing this. Very oftentimes, you wind up doing this. And I'm like, man, good thing I wasn't on the 1 minute chart watching those tiny little ups and downs, hoping that I was going to hit those key levels. Just set the alert. Go live your life, right? Let the alert go off. Oh, my God. Right? Oh my God, alert went off. Do I have the confirmations? Right? It's the beauty of being able to trade from your phone. People always tell me, what kind of computer should I get for trading? Doesn't matter. You can trade off your phone. Obviously, having a big screen, multiple screens is sometimes nice. It's easier to do the TA on an actual computer. But I mean, you could trade from a phone. Gotta leave. See ya. Shout out to Max. Thank you for being here, brother. Have a great night. All right. Shout out to Tony D. Let's run the giveaways, brother. You need a NASA computer for trading. People saw my setup. They'd be like, oh, my God, this guy's in a spaceship. You definitely don't need this. I honestly, guys, I have my big screen is usually trading view. And then I have a screen to the left where I usually just have, like, the liquidation heat maps. My screen to the right is where I keep the order flow. And then when I'm live, I just got OBS on my horizontal monitor here, chart right in front of me, and then my vertical monitor here just has chat. I don't have like 40 screens with 40 different charts up. They say more charts, more money, right? That's a fallacy. I don't need to necessarily see everything all at once. It's convenient, I guess, but too much information, sometimes bad information. Shout out to the real K Diggity. Shout out to K Diggity. Phoebe says hi, K. It's Valentine's Day tomorrow, bro. She's waiting for your call. She said you were going to bring her to the grass field so she can graze. TA on large screen, executing on the phone seems easier. Yeah, sometimes I'll execute on my phone or just on my separate monitor. Sometimes I'll have another chart open on my other screens, but just like typically, I'm just like one screen. It's really all I need personally. If you aren't trading with a quantum computer, are you even committed? Shout out to India Martini. You gotta be committed. You need the quantum computer. Oh, there we go. USDT winners. Shout out to Rudy. Shout out to Frezos. Shout out to Boots. Shout out to Crazy Pizza. Hey, I could go for some pizza right now. Shout out to Khan. Shout out to Gladiator, Trust, Crypto, King Crypto, Safe Speedy, and Fiat Level. Let's go. Shout out to you guys. You want a free bag of USDT, go to that free Discord, link in the description down below. Go to the Help Center and claim your free money. And we will be changing the way we do the giveaways moving forward, guys. I think that is the that's the last giveaway. I don't know how much we're going to change it. We have to change it the way we're doing it on the back end to make it a little bit simpler for us. But yeah, I don't know what it's going to look like next week, but we'll do the giveaways. Let's see. Rigged. Shout out to Gen Z. What about buying and selling on monthly and monthly green dots and red dots? I actually talk about this in, I believe, the Market Cipher tutorial. At the end of the day, I mean, to me, right, when I looked at the idea of doing something like that, right, I kind of asked myself, like, would this work, right? It really depends. You can't ignore the context and how money flow works, right? So, like, for example, buy on a green dot. Yes, price does end up going up depending on where you get filled on that candle. Or this is the weekly. Pull up the monthly. You could buy on this monthly green dot, right? Now, where are you buying in on that monthly green dot? Are you getting in at the top of the candle? In that case, right here, you got a 13% pump. And then you just wind up coming back down. So you could like buy here, right? And again, there's no guarantee you're going to get filled or you're going to wind up getting in at the bottom there. But like technically, if you bought here and sold here, let's assume you buy the bottom of this candle, sell the top of this candle, right? Like technically, there's a profit there to be made. But the problem there is it's just not as easy in practice, right? Because these monthly green dots and red dots can print, they can unprint, right? They might pop, they might flash and then never confirm. So it's just not that simple. And again, it's like, where are you going to get in on that candle? Are you getting in at the top? You're very likely not going to get in on the bottom. And like, you bring it to a weekly perspective because I have more red and green dots to work with. But like, if you buy this weekly green dot, right? Are you buying this weekly green dot for a little bit of a retracement? Are you buying this weekly green dot expecting a new all-time high, right? So you have to understand how the market moves. You have to understand the context, the confluence. And then at the end of the day, right, like if you buy the weekly green dot here, let's just say you get filled in the middle of the candle, and then you sell, let's say you get filled on the middle of that candle, right, which would be like right here, right? So you're in here, and then you sell on the weekly red dot, right? Where are you selling? You're selling below. And it could be the same thing on the monthly. So I would never do that, right? This is why I like to look for bullish divergences. I like to see actual discrepancies. I would never buy and sell based off green and red dots. I do use them as an indication for a potential move up, but I would never trade just based off them. And then you have situations like this even on the weekly where like, oh my God, red dot sell. Oh my God, green dot buy. And then this green dot, you would have bought on this green dot and like you just continue down, then you get a little move up, another move down. It's just a mess in my opinion. Not something I would ever recommend. Obviously, you can make your own decisions, but I would just go back and test that, right? Because like I know it looks very simple, like red dot, sell, right? But then like if you didn't buy on the until the next green dot, you would have been buying this top of this green candle, right? And then you sell on this maybe the confirmation of this red dot, you're selling down here. You're literally selling the bottom, and you buy almost the top again, and then you would have sold here, right? Maybe you would have made a little profit there. It's just very not something I would personally do. Like even this, right? Like you could have bought this monthly green dot, dumped your whole bag in somewhere on this candle, enjoyed the bull market. And then like, are you selling on this monthly candle, this monthly red dot? Then you're missing this. It's not the way I would do things. And then again, like you can buy on this monthly green candle or monthly green dot. It might not confirm, and then you just wind up continuing down, or you can confirm it, print another red dot, comes down. Not something I would ever do. I wish it was that easy, because then I look back and I'm like, well, what am I really looking for? I'm looking for just a simple buy and sell signal, which, of course, if that was that easy, I personally would 100% just set a bot up to buy and sell monthly red dots, make that spread, and then, just print infinite money. If it was that easy, I think somebody would have figured that out and probably be doing it. Shout out to Tiny Len, said I went to Frankie's trading seminar. He took the stage, started singing "I Trade It Like I Talk It" in the style of "Walk It Like I Talk It" by Migos. Said sign up for my paid group and left the scam. Shout out to Tiny Lens. I do trade it like I talk it, though. I will say that. I just make the decisions that I see on the chart. How do you get the dots to pop up below the momentum waves? Those are just oversold dots. So like on the weekly, those print when you close your momentum wave below the oversold line. That'll give you the double green dot. This is like another thing like a lot of people will look at. Double green dot. Oh, my God, that's super bullish. Oversold. And then like this is where people are, they're not wrong, right? Oh, my God, this is super oversold. It is, right? I mean, you're below the oversold line, right? Like it's oversold. The thing that a lot of people don't understand, right, is, again, if it was as easy as waiting for an oversold momentum wave or oversold RSI, buying, and then just making $1 bazillion, it would just be too easy, right? And you could remain oversold for quite some time. Now, yes, oversold, green dot, could indicate bounce. We actually looked at this green dot, potentially indicating a bounce, but we understood the context was retracement for lower high, lower low, right? And then what happens, right? You're just still oversold now. You continue down. I think a lot of people will see this and be like, oh, my God, oversold. Buy it. It's going massively higher, right? Again, context will always be king. I wish it was that easy, but it's just not. Trust me, I would have figured all this stuff out a lot sooner than I actually did. So there we go, guys. That's what we're looking at on Bitcoin. Doesn't look like we're going to, of course, I'm telling you right now, guys, if this is going to give us that green dot, again, I do have a little bit of room above this wick, so maybe it doesn't stop me out. But if I pull up the local range here real quick, right, we got the POC, we got the golden pocket. If we get that 30-minute green dot and we're able to get the push up, it does look like we could come up and print that bearish divergence, indicating that we can crack the highs here. We do have resistance. Maybe we get the pullback from there. If we flip the golden pocket POC, I'd be looking up towards the 786 value area high between about 70,626, 70,637 up to about 71K. But I'm telling you right now, I guarantee you, as soon as I sign off this live stream, we'll get the outcome of that. It's either going to push up or we're just going to see it roll over on itself. Take that to the bank. It just knows. The market makers watch us, guys. I'm telling you. But yeah, like smashed. Shout out to Big Ray Soul. Thank you for that, bro. Guys, don't forget to smash that like button on your way out. It helps the channel out endlessly. It is free 99. And with all that being said, that's all the time we got for tonight's live stream. Hey, shout out to Captain Kirk. I saw her pop in. I forgot to shout her out. Shout out to Captain Kirk. Thank you for stopping by. Hopefully she's still in here. Hope you're doing well. But thank you guys all for being here. And I will be back here with you guys next week. Have a happy Valentine's Day. Spend some time with the ladies, guys. I know the charts are, she's always looking at you like like that meme of the guy walking with his girlfriend and the other girl walks by and he's looking back. He's like, and she gets mad. That's always the chart. Spend some time with your girls. I'm going to hang out with Mrs. Candles. We're going to go eat some Wagyu tomorrow. I'm super excited. And if you're single, I can let you guys know where I got plastic Mrs. Candles. But I'm just kidding. Enjoy the weekend, guys. Be safe. Don't drink and drive. Don't text and drive. I want to see everybody back here on Monday. That's all I got for today's live stream. I'll see you on Monday. That's all I got. Hasta pasta. Frankie Candles out. Bing bong!
Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go. Yeah, we winning by a landslide. Never see me coming, I'm a landmine. Yeah, I ain't taking orders in command like, yeah, you about to see me on demand like, you know on demand. If you ain't know, you about to understand. Yeah, I got the team by my side, right hand. Yeah, take it to a string, you ain't seen it like that. Yeah, and it's the dream, and we coming for the bag. Yeah, and we ain't never going back now. Future expedited, now we on the fast track now. They won't lend a hand, now they see us on the map now. It's time to act out. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, yeah, on the road, here we go, here we go. Here we go, at the top of the class on a roll, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know. Maxed out, put the pedal to the floor, ayy, on the road, here we go, yeah. At the top of the class on a roll, ayy, and it's time to run it up, yeah you know, yeah. Maxed out,